disease, invasive species, natural disasters, over specialization, and not being able to adapt to their changing environments are just some examples of an animal becoming either endangered or extinct. Vulnerable is when an animal is going down such a population that they are in a risk of being endangered unless something changes. Endangered is when a species is in risk of being extinct, and extinct is when a species is completely wiped off the planet with none of these species alive. Mass extinction is when a species is dying out way faster than if the species can reproduce. The most famous example being the KT extinction that wiped out the dinosaurs by having an asteroid the size of Mount Everest smash at 18 kilometers per second onto the Gulf of Mexico, making an explosion that is comparable to 5 million times stronger than a Tsar bomber. It was every species that was around the Gulf of Mexico was eviscerated. Earthquakes, eruptions, and tsunamis happened across the entire world, and the areas that was nearby the impact and yet still survived had like oven warmth heating that burnt every step that they were. But the most dangerous part was because of all the asteroids hitting around the Earth and like colliding back down into Earth, creating a bunch of gas and clouds that covered the entire Earth for thousands of years, stopping the food chain, cutting out the veg, which cut out the herbivores, and which cut out the large predators. It killed more than 70% of the species on Earth. That's one of the examples. Another example is a background extinction. It is an ongoing extinction of individual species from an environment or an ecological factor. An example being the terror birds, as about they were the dominant predators of South America for almost 57.5 million years. It was not until 2.5 million years ago when South America started to connect with North America, and all the species started collectively exploring what's the part of North America and what's part of the South America. The perfect examples being the Smilodons and the wolves. They were examples of what actually badly affected the terror birds. And what happened is that not only because they're able to hunt down terror birds, they're also much more successful hunters, which would lead to them dying of slow starvations, as either not being able to actually hunt their prey before, a Smilodon starts to hunt them, or just not being able to hunt an animal. Lastly, we have the human-led extinctions. These are extinctions that are caused by humans, so things such as hunting and poaching, and even things such as loss of habitat. The example of this could be the Atlas bears that lived from Morocco to northern Africa. They lived with barbarous lions and barbarous leopards, which are much larger versions of the ones we had now. The Atlas bears went extinct due to the Romans hunting them and using them for gladiatorial competition. Conservation state is a chart that shows categories to show which species is indicating whether the group is still existing and how likely the group is to become extinct in the future, and while also showing how endangered the animal is and how much help they would need. There is 9 categories in there, that being the non-evaluated, which is a species that has not yet been evaluated against the above criteria. The data deficient, where there is no information assessed to assess the risk of extinction, which means they just don't have a clue. Least concerned, which means the species of animal or anything, as basically species that is widespread and is in abundance. Near threatened, a likely species to qualify for threatened category, and the near future perhaps even quickly, many depending on the local development of projects. Vulnerable is when a species is in high risk of being extinct. Endangered is a species that is in high risk, very high risk of being extinct in the wild. Critically endangered is a extremely high risk of being extinct. And then extinct from the wild is when a species is just left in like zoos, wildlife preservations, and just a natural population, just captivity, right? And they're completely extinct from the wild. Extinct is when the species is wiped out, gone, dead. However, there's also another version called the ending, is when a species is at its last remaining animal or plant or fungus, last remaining animal to be left alive. If an animal would go extinct, could we perhaps bring them back to life in some way? Could we resurrect them from the grave? Could we have mammoths and Tasmanian tigers roaming the forests in their natural habitats, or entire plains? Could we have the famous megalodon, the largest shark species to ever exist, be brought back to existence from death, so that they can hunt down sperm whales in the ocean? Well, yes, there is a sort of way in bringing back a mammoth. This could be done by using DNA from an Asian elephant and a recovered DNA from a woolly mammoth from the Arctic tundras. Through gene editing, both of their genes will be placed in the embryo of the elephant, so that the mammoth can be compatible to what they used to be, allowing it to give birth to a new mammoth. Do note, it's not really a mammoth. They sort of named it something else, but it is so closely like a mammoth. With this could help with the environment, as they can trample over moss, shrubs, and uprooted trees, creating an ecosystem full of grasslands and not trees, as grass absorbs much less sunlight than trees, which would make the land much more cooler as yet. They can also insulate frozen ground below to help maintain permafrost, by having daily travels of 6-ton mammoths through the clear terrain, served to pack down the snow that is on top of the soil. Now, does this mean we could bring back the famous classic T-Rex? No. We don't have the proper DNA for it, sort of, and we don't have any animal that is so closely related that it would work. And plus, even if we were to bring back the 10-ton T-Rex, like, not only would be crushed by its like gravity.
Yeah, so I was wrong about that. So the T Rex would survive Earth's gravity because Earth's gravity had not changed for over 65 million years. However, it still wouldn't survive Earth's like now because one, the atmosphere is a lot less because back then it was up to 30% oxygen, while now it was just about 21%. So just be like you're constantly out of breath or like you're walking around on the top of like a huge mountain. Secondly, is that there isn't really much prey that the T-Rex could ambush, hunt, and then eat up because a lot of the prey would be like too small to fill up the T-Rex and would be too fast for the T-Rex to hunt down. So yeah, I'm just recording this part as I'm editing this because I got that information wrong.
Also have difficulty breathing because back then their environment had much more oxygen in it. However, we can go sort of like Jurassic Park like and bring back animals from the dead, sort of dead, such as Tasmanian tigers. So it's pretty exciting knowing that. So yeah, that's basically the topic. I hope you really enjoy this. I hope you enjoy this. Um, and if you like hearing me talk about these stuff, like, just hit the subscribe button and give me a like.